Good morning, and I have Mark Labhart here. It is Monday morning, Thanksgiving week.
It is. God, that is the biggest microphone.
I know. It's
I just noticed that.
It's not. It's just a cover on the microphone.
It's new, isn't it?
It is. It got added in last week.
It's about the size of
my head.
No, I'm not going to say that.
I know. It's a large one.
It is a large one. It's anyway.
So this is your. We only have one more of these.
We do. Yeah.
I know.
Yep. Yeah.
And you got to come in on lovely Thanksgiving week.
I know. It's actually the
sun's weather outside.
Yeah, the sun's
nice.
shining. I actually mowed my lawn this weekend in between rainstorms. I was able to, and it's mostly picking up leaves though, but
right, yeah, just mulching the leaves into the grass. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, a couple things. I thought folks would like a status report on roads, so I want to thank Jeanette at the road department for providing this information.
Yes,
we got some.
Who is Jeanette?
Oh, Jeanette Steinbach is works in the office there. Key person for Leanne Welch, our public works director.
Gotcha.
So she knows all the details of what's going on. So we got some exceptionally good news this last week. FEMA the Federal Highway Administration came through with $6 million for us. So what does that mean?
Wow.
Cape Mears Loop Road.
Yes.
For those folks who don't know, we closed that road, about 1.5 miles of that road, back in January of 2013.
I was going to say, it's been closed for a while.
It has, 3 years, because of the unsafe nature. Mm-hmm. It was actually moving. We didn't want to leave people up there 24 hours a day to watch the road, so we wanted to make sure it was safe for school buses and vehicles and those kind of things. So we decided to do an analysis of that road. Rather than just continuing to pave over it and then it fails, pave over it and then it fails. It's a large landslide that's continuing to move down the mountain toward Cape Mears. So we brought in an engineering firm and looked at several different options to realign the road. And the one that we're looking at, there's a north alignment and a south alignment, but essentially it's to go around the slide. Well, it's hugely expensive, $12.6 million.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, because you're essentially building a new
road.
Yeah, new road. Now, we're using some existing roads that are up there, but to make it safe for the public, you've got to just essentially build a new road. So we just secured last week a federal lands access program grant of $6 million. So that gets us up to the whole $12.6 million that we need to fund the project. So it is huge. Leanne and I were at a meeting in Eugene, and we were doing high fives with each other, and slapping each other on the back, because this has been
that is huge.
It has been one of my highest priority projects. You know, that is the access to Oceanside when 131's been closed twice.
Sure. And they've been stuck.
Yeah, they've been stuck. It's the major access road for the Cape Mears Scenic Loop that goes out to the lighthouse and the National the Fish and Wildlife Facility. It's an emergency access road in the event of a disaster of some kind. Mm-hmm. And right now, a lot of the folks in Oceanside who may be listening to this are going to be pleased, because those rock trucks that came from the rock pit, the only way they could get to town is to go through Oceanside down that steep hill with their brakes,
which isn't good for that road.
No. Yeah. And so once we get this road fixed, those rock trucks can go back the old Cape Mears Loop Road. And so get out of there. So it's huge. I was really excited about it. So still going to be a while. It's not going to happen next year, because we're designing the road right now. But we do have, looks like, all the funding for it.
Well, and I'm sure since, when you say June 2013 is when it closed? Or January? June?
It closed in January of 2013.
Yeah, I was going to say, I felt like it was in the winter months. Yeah. No, I'm sure people probably think it's just been forgotten about, or just kind of not a priority. So that's great.
It's been on my list. I swear I think about it every month. And then this last year when we had December of 15, when we had that storm, we had to
and then we got all 131 closed down.
Right.
Yeah.
We had to actually put some gravel down there and have pilot cars going through there. Right. It was very hazardous. So it's been a maintenance nightmare, and now we're going to get the thing fixed.
Fabulous.
So other news, this is the fourth year of the general obligation bond that the voters passed. So the paving that occurred this year, we paved a portion of Beulah Reed Road. That's up in North County. Victoria Street, that is in Rockaway Beach, and 25% of that was paid for by the property owners because it was a local access road. Olson Road, South Prairie, Bay Ocean, in Cape Mears, Crab Avenue, 3rd Street, essentially from the fairgrounds on out to the end of the road there, which was huge. That's
very
getting
nice.
To be really bad.
You almost had to drive in the middle of the road.
I know, it was really bad.
It's very nice and smooth now.
Yeah, Cape Kiwanda Drive. So those are the roads that we got paved for this year. The road crew continues to respond to pothole drainage and damage, road signs, brushing requests, and so we respond as soon as we can. And the phone number...
I was just going to say, should we plug the number for
Plug
potholes?
the number, 842-3419. 842-3419.
3419.
And if you call in, you'll get on the list, and we'll try to get it to you as soon as we can. So
especially now. I mean, there are some spots that get some gigantic potholes. I mean,
tank traps, I call them.
Yeah, you look at those and think, oh my gosh, if I hit that, I might pop my tire. They're just so deep.
The worst thing is at night, it's dark and rainy and stormy.
You don't see it until you hit it.
Yeah, and then it's too late.
Yep.
So we're also working on several other projects. We got a bunch of bridge projects going on. The Loman Bridge up in North County, Wayland Island Bridge, that's down near
Del Mar-ish
right.
area.
Cedar Creek, Holgate Bridge, South Fork of Trask, Curl Bridge, and Salmonberry Bridge repair. So working on those with some major contractors. Then we've got the Federal Highway Administration with FEMA from the disaster last year. So Miami River Road, milepost 7.6, we got a major culvert failure that we're working on there. And then at 8.9, another culvert failure working on there. And then Bay Ocean Road, that's the one that we put in the temporary bridge at milepost 2. So we've got temporary bridge in place there. And then other projects that we're working on with FEMA, the East Creek Road slope failure, Harborview Drive culvert replacement, Solly Smith culvert replacement, Hadley Road, Old Wheeler Moeller Road, Twin Rocks culverts. Those are really bad. I've had a number of calls on those that seems like every rainstorm these culverts are getting overtopped and flooding some of the neighborhoods there.
Sure.
And that's in Rockaway Beach and Kilchis River Road. So folks just need to be patient with us. We've got a number of these projects going on. So if I've read any of those that ring a bell with you, they're on the list, and we're working on getting those repaired.
Well, and are we getting to the season where now it's going to be hard to kind of get a lot of road stuff done? Outside of what ODOT's doing, obviously.
Right, and it's
they're just plugging away.
You can't pave when the weather's cold, wet, and rainy. It's got to be a certain temperature, so it's very difficult to pave. So what we're doing is replacing culverts, and then as soon as the weather cooperates, we'll come in and pave over the top of it. So. And then we've got some capital projects we're working on. We've got this thing called the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, which you and I have talked about before. Yep. And that is a fairly major effort up at the Kilchis House. During the December storm, it flooded at the Kilchis House. The water came across from the college, flooded the Kilchis House. We had to move the patients out. So we're working with the city, because that's a county road, but it also affects the city. And so we're going to, hopefully, FEMA will agree to this, submit a grant request, and receive some additional funding to drain the water to the north along. It crosses underneath of 3rd Street and then drains off to the north. And so we won't have that problem with the Kilchis House getting flooded. And then... well, let's see. Other projects, we've got the Salmon Superhighway. We talked a little bit about that before. That's where we're trying to fix some of the culverts that are restricting fish passage.
Yeah.
We've got a major grant request in called the Two Chiefs Grant, which is the Chief of the Forest Service and the Director of BLM. They have one grant every year that's fairly in the millions of dollars. And we got pretty close to getting that last year, and hopefully we'll get it this year. We've been ranked pretty high priority for that, and that will be a huge effort to go out and fix some of these failing culverts. So Jeanette wants me to say this, and so I'll say it very clearly. Tillamook County Public Works thanks the public for all of the complimentary phone calls, emails, and comments they've received on their Facebook page. She says, we appreciate all your support. It's also fortunate that we have a very experienced and dedicated crew who are able to complete these projects safely and cost effectively. So you can go to their Facebook page, Tillamook County Public Works, and then go to the road part. And again, if you have any questions, concerns, just call 842-3419. So,
and I'll tell you, during the flood around this time last year, it was very helpful. If you are not on Facebook, I think you can still look at it because I think they're just a public page, but they were posting where roads were failing, what roads were being closed, what roads were being flagged, because North County got totally socked in for a while. You couldn't go Wilson River Loop. 101 was closed. Miami Foley was closed. So it was really nice to have some type of resource. You could go on their Facebook page and they would post. I want to say every day, but I don't think it was every day. And then, of course, the Pioneer shared it, the Headlight Herald shared it, Gordon shared it. So it was nice to have kind of that public facing, or it is nice to have that public facing, like, here's what we're doing right now.
I actually think the public's very appreciative, and they just need to understand that, it's got to be timely information, but we're trying to be as timely as possible, updating folks on, okay, this road's fixed, this road's still closed, and then they call in and say, well, that road just got fixed. Well, we haven't just updated it yet. So we try to update it as quickly as possible.
And then when you're in a crisis situation where Facebook probably isn't the big priority.
Yeah, would you rather have us on Facebook or out there fixing the road?
Right,
so
totally. We're going to take a quick break and talk about Tillamook Motor Company. Many business owners may be eligible to write off 100% of the purchase cost of their next new Ford. Section 179 is the IRS tax code allowing you to buy qualifying Ford vehicles and deduct the purchase price, including any amount financed, from gross taxable income if purchased before December 31st. You'll want to talk to your tax professional, and then you'll want to talk to Tillamook Ford on the friendly corners of 5th and 7th in downtown Tillamook. Tillamook Motor Company, a better place to do business. So we're talking with Mark Labhart about all of the millions of things you have going on. You always come in and have so many things to talk about.
Well, there's always something going on. I thought I'd let folks know about a fairly significant effort that's going on with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. So right now, I shouldn't say most, but a significant portion of the ODF&W's budget is funded by two sources, hunting licenses and fishing licenses. And yet a lot of their activities, are not related to hunting and fishing. They're non-game kinds of things. You have a problem with a raccoon in Portland. Wolf issues. Wolves, they're not a game animal, but they're an endangered species, and so they spend a lot of time dealing with wolves. Bats. Somebody's got a problem with birds in their backyard or something like that. So ODF&W has been losing money over time. And so what they've done is they went to the legislature and asked for a fee increase for hunting and fishing licenses. And so hunters and fishers are saying, why are we paying for these, quote, non-game or conservation-related activities? For an example would be you have a culvert on county property. Well, ODF&W needs to come out and look at that culvert and make sure that it has the right size for fish passage. Well, you can kind of relate that to a little bit to a fishing license, but but most of the time they just want to use it for regulation for fisheries. So there's a task force that was appointed by the legislature, and I think we've talked about this before.
I feel like we have.
Yeah. So we've been meeting since January, every month since January, and have come up with two ideas to propose to the legislature in the February session. And one, I'm going to be meeting with Representative Barnhart tomorrow in Salem. We've got an hour and a half with him. And why would we meet with him? Well, he's the chair of the House Revenue Committee. And all bills that have any kind of funding tied to it start in the House. And so what the idea is we need to find a funding source that doesn't use hunting and fishing license dollars to pay for non-game kinds of activities. Because right now, the legislature has planned for another fee increase for ODF&W in 2018 and another fee increase for ODF&W, and I think it's 2020.
For licenses?
For licenses.
Gotcha.
And so hunters and fishers are saying, why are we paying for non-game stuff? And so one of the things that the task force is looking at is what we call a surcharge on the bottles and cans that is being redeemed. So right now you pay a nickel.
Right.
And so that's going to go up to 10 cents. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, it's going to go up to 10
January?
in I think it's 2018.
Okay.
It's going to go up to 10 cents because the redemption rates have only been like 65%, and when it gets down to below 60 or 70%, then it kicks in so that now it goes from 5 cents to 10 cents.
Do we get our 10 cents back if we redeem them?
If you redeem it, you get your 10 cents back. And so what we're looking at is adding 2 cents to the price at the wholesale level of a 6-pack of pop or a 6-pack of beer or whatever. And it would add 2 cents to a 6-pack, not to an individual can, but to a 6-pack. So when the wholesaler, the person that makes the Coke, sells it to Safeway, they would add 2 cents to the price of that 6-pack. So you're already going to go from 5 cents to 10 cents for the redemption. So he said, if we added 2 cents to that, would the public be willing to do that? So we did a public survey, and most of the public said yes, we'd be willing to pay 2 cents more on a 6-pack of pop to help fund
a third of a cent per
it's almost nothing.
can?
It's almost nothing.
Yeah.
And it would bring in several $1 million to ODF&W to help fund the non-game kind of things. And then with that, the hunting and license fees would be stopped. There would be no increase in hunting and fishing licenses. So that would help hunters and fishers to say, well, it's about time that somebody else is helping to pay for this besides hunters and fishers. And so the license fees wouldn't go up. So what I just said there was about 8 months worth of work, but we're meeting with Representative Barnhart tomorrow to see if, in fact, he would be willing to put this into a bill. Representative Witt, who chairs the House Ag and Natural Resource Committee, their committee has already said, we think that Oregonians would support a 2 cent increase in a 6-pack of pop or a 6-pack of beer in order to pay for these non-game sources if, in fact, we could stop this increase in hunting and fishing licenses paying for this non-game stuff. So that's it in a summary. So
that was an interesting solution to that problem.
It is kind of interesting. And one other thing that's kind of interesting is I don't know if I want to go into too much. Well, I'm not sure I want to go into too much details. Well, it is a can of worms because right now when you pay your at the store, you pay 5 cents for a can. Per can.
Right.
And it's only returned at 65%. So the Safeway charges you 5 cents for that can, and only 65% of those cans are being returned. So guess who keeps the difference?
Well, the store.
The store keeps it. So the store's making a profit on the redemption rate of cans. So I asked the question, I said, well, what are they doing with that? And they said, well, we're using that for redemption services. And so it's kind of interesting.
What,
so,
the machine maintenance out front?
Well, that's what they said. So anyway, that was another one I thought, they're making a pretty good profit margin there on, but with the 10 cent redemption, it's going to go to that automatically. It's estimated that the redemption rate will go up because you're saying
now you're getting 10 cents.
Yeah, if you're saying, well, it's not worth turning it in for 5, but for 10 cents, I think I will redeem that. So the redemption rate's going to go up. So anyway, stay tuned. It'll be in the February session. The goal is to try to find adequate funding for the non-game portion for ODF&W and not have hunters and fishers having to pay for the majority of that service. So. Coming up on December 2nd, which is next Friday at 8:30, is going to be a ribbon cutting for the Southern Flow Corridor. And that's the flood reduction project that's just north of Tillamook, and it's a large wetland restoration project. And so we've got staff from all 3 congressional districts. Betsy's going to be there, Debbie Boone, I think representatives from the governor's office. This is a $10 million project to try to reduce, it will reduce flooding in the North Tillamook area. It won't eliminate flooding, but it will reduce it. And the project...
And probably reduce how quickly it
recedes, drains.
Right?
Yep, that's the idea, is to get the water out of there quicker and to reduce the height of the flooding that occurs there. And so the project's just about done for the year. Just a little bit of stuff left to do.
Is that what I see when I drive out here on 3rd Street, just to the north of there's like a lot of dump trucks going in and out, and it's like right where Front Street kind of tees in?
Yep. This project goes all the way from the hospital clear up north to Debbie D's. That's about where it ends, and it's all.
And a lot of that you can't really see.
You can't see any of it, but to speak
you can
of.
if you go on First Street or Front Street. If
you can see the trucks working back in there.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of activity going. There's a $10 million project. Essentially, what we're doing is we're creating a flood corridor to get the flood waters out to the bay quicker. And before, it was just a bunch of old dikes and levees back there that were all dilapidated, and the water would just hit that back up into town, flood the businesses. And this is the way to get the water out to the bay quicker. Now, again, it's not going to stop flooding. You're always going to have flooding, but we're going to reduce the impacts of flooding. So December 2nd at 8:30, if you want to come, we're going to meet at the courthouse at 8:30, and we're going to have buses that take people out there.
Okay, I was just going to ask, where exactly is that going to happen?
Just meet at the courthouse.
If you are interested in doing that, they're asking that you RSVP by next Monday. And there's an email address on here, but it's really long, so I'm just going to give the phone number, 842-3431. Okay. But and you're meeting at the courthouse like at what, 8? 8-ish?
Well, the buses will start taking off about 8:30, and actually we're going to do the ribbon cutting at 9.
Oh, gotcha.
So Farm Bureau's going to be there, and others are going to testify on it. Or not testify, speak on it.
Testify.
I'm back to the legislature already.
I'm going to take a quick break, talk about Roby's. You don't buy furniture every day, so it just makes sense that when you do invest in that new sofa or recliner, you're paying the best price possible. The same goes for that mattress or your refrigerator. At Roby's Furniture and Appliance, you'll find the top name brands, Maytag, Frigidaire, La-Z-Boy, Lane Simmons, Tempur-Pedic, and more, all under one roof, all at low, low prices. Roby's offers high volume pricing and selection with small town service and a smile. They have something in every price range and every taste. And don't forget, Roby's offers free delivery to veterans and active duty military. See them right now for great savings, serving the folks who call the coast home. Roby's Furniture and Appliance, Astoria, Tillamook, Lincoln City, Newport, and Florence.
Well, that building's just about done, too.
I know. I saw them putting up the sign. I think it was last week I saw them put up. I was like, what is that big crane doing? Oh, they're putting up the sign.
Yeah. It's going to be really cool when it's done. Salmonberry Trail, also on December 2nd, next Friday, there's going to be a meeting at the Port of Tillamook Bay Officers Mess Hall. And what's going on right now is there's a group on we call it the West segment, led by Commissioner Bartline, who is working with the various cities, property owners. In fact, the city of Tillamook is really moving out on some of the trail location and areas that it will be located on. And so that is the interagency board that's got Department of Forestry, Parks, the county, Washington County. That's the meeting of the board of directors to talk about what our next steps are. So there's significant work going on with the community right now on various projects. And it's hugely expensive. It won't be done in a very short period of time. Right. There will be little segments done here and there. Tillamook has really stepped up. Tillamook and Banks both. Banks is looking at developing a huge parking area for the segment on the east side that will start the trail over there, and then the city of Tillamook's working on some stuff.
Cool.
So
that meeting's is that open to the public?
It is.
Okay.
And that's at 10 o'clock on December 2nd.
So you're going to be running back and forth?
Back and forth. And then if you don't have anything else to do, I'm having my retirement reception that same day. At 3 o'clock at the college.
What are you going to do when you're not doing this stuff anymore? You're going to be like, just sitting around going, wait, what? I don't have to be somewhere 5 minutes ago?
Well, that's what I thought we'd talk about the next last 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I've put together a list. In fact, Commissioner-elect David Yamamoto and I have already been meeting. We've probably met 6 times already, and we're going to continue to meet to talk about, I call it work still to be done. There's just a lot of things that are still on the radar screen that the public might be aware of. This FEMA biological opinion, you've had Brian in talking about it. That's going to be a long, arduous process. It's going to
actually, David was in here.
Oh, was he talking about it?
He came in I think the following week when you guys were in here. He came in the following week and talked about it too.
Oh, okay. So we need to stay on top of that. Some of the major road issues, the Hawk Creek Road in Nesquin, that's the emergency access road. We need to finish paving the rest of, putting in sidewalks out the rest of 3rd Street so that people can walk and bike out there.
You mean from the fairgrounds out
to because if you get the sidewalks only go to the fairgrounds and that's it. And
they just actually added in sidewalks in front of that big grassy area. There weren't even sidewalks there.
Yep, and that was done by Leanne Welch and her staff. We wanted to get that done before the fair. The road bond's going to be running out in a few years, and so we need to talk about what are we going to do for the long term for another road bond. Hopefully the citizens will step up and help pay for that. We've talked about this Senate Bill 1517, which is a pilot project which authorizes Tillamook County to create a collaborative process for local input and involvement of wetland restoration projects. And Chad Allen,
I was going to say, that's the one the Farm Bureau has really championed.
Leading that effort, doing a great job. State forests is going to be a huge issue in the next year. That's the class action lawsuit. I'm sure Commissioner Josie has talked about that on the radio. It's extremely important that we stay engaged in that and we participate in that process. And I can guarantee you all three of the new commissioner, one new commissioner and the other two will be actively engaged. Affordable housing, available housing continues to be an issue. We need to make sure that we continue to look at opportunities, both the local, state, and the federal level, to address this issue. It's not just a Portland issue; it's a Tillamook County issue. Library, the 10-year celebration of library recently completed. The operating levy ends in 2017. We need to provide it goes on a 5-year process. So if you have an operating levy for all the branches, Pacific City, Tillamook, Bay City, Garibaldi, Manzanita, all the branches, it's an operating levy. It's not a capital construction levy. It's just to operate the libraries, and that runs out. So they'll be coming back for that. The Fair Board. Lots of activity going on. We've got a big survey going on right now by a firm to look at the capital construction projects for the fair. We've got a lot of nice buildings, but we got a lot of old, decrepit buildings, and we need to look at using the transit lodging tax funds to help pay for some major improvements at the fair. We're looking at potentially a new circuit court facility.
I don't remember who talked about that, but somebody talked about that.
Okay, that's the annex that would be right on the side of the courthouse. That's going to be a big project in the next few years. Sheriff's levy, we've got a potential on the ballot for an enhanced sheriff patrol district in South County. I'm very supportive of that. We just don't have a lot of staffing to provide adequate sheriff patrol services 24 hours a day. So the citizens of Pacific City and Nesquin have stepped up to the plate and said, we're interested in having a vote to look at a enhanced sheriff levy of hiring 2 officers potentially down there to provide enhanced sheriff patrol. Health department, they're just going great guns. Got a great director in Marlene Putman. That whole program has turned around. They're expanding their dental services. They're now going to move into the extension building, and extension is going to be moving out to the college, so that they can provide some more services.
Is that extension building bigger than the one they're in?
No, they're gonna. This is an addition to one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this will be an additional building that they need to move into because they're providing additional services. Transit lodging tax. I'll just close with that one. We still haven't seen the top of that one yet. Seems like we're just getting more and more money. Yeah, it's about $3 million, and so
I'll tell you, I still see Washington, California, Canada plates driving through town, and I think, it's like November. What are you doing here?
Well, we've got a group working throughout the county right now. The Futures Council is doing 4 meetings throughout the county to look at asking folks to say, okay, if you were king or queen of the world, what large-scale facilities that are related to tourism do we need to build? Do we need to build a convention center? Do we need to add on to something? Do we build a center down in South County or something up in North County? So we're asking for any and all ideas they have on fairly large capital construction projects, because we're doing small stuff right now like bathrooms and fixing up like the Latimer Quilt Center, but we're looking at potentially large projects. And so in 2017, the commissioners will be taking that report from those 4 meetings and saying, okay, let's pick some big projects that we can look at long-term funding for. So we're
Are you going to bring David next time you're here?
I could. Yeah, that would be a great idea.
A little transition handoff here.
Yeah. I'm just going to say he's has he stepped up to the plate. We were down at the Association of Oregon Counties meeting this last week, and we met several different times, and he's really fully engaged now and stepping up to the plate and wanting to learn as much as he can. But there's a lot to learn.
Oh, so. I'm sure. Yeah, which is why you do a whole 8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Let's see. Tomorrow we will have Nick Troxel from Tillamook PD and Jim Horton from the Sheriff's Office here. Don't forget senior meals, 11:30 at St. Mary's by the Sea in Rockaway Beach every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also noon every weekday at the Kiowanda Community Center in Pacific City, as well as the Tillamook Senior Center at 4th and Stillwell. Cost is $3 for seniors, $6.75 for everyone else. Today is the deadline to enter into the Holiday Light Parade. You can get your entry forms for this free event online at TillamookhOlidayLightParade.com. or at Diamond Art Jewelers downtown off of Main. Dress up your car, your kids, your dog. We want to see you get creative. Doesn't have to be Christmas lights. It could be glow sticks or those rope lights. Are you going to dress up?
I was laughing when you say dress up your kids.
Sure. You put some glow
put a bunch of lights on them and march them
down.
out.
Today at noon, Hospice is holding their annual Light Up a Life event at the Cheese Factory. You can call 815-2484 for more info. Tomorrow, there is an autumn flower arranging class at the OSU Extension Office. It's being held from 10 to noon or also from 4 to 5:30. The class is $15 for adults or youth, which is kindergarten and up, $5 a class. It's a great time to make centerpieces for your Thanksgiving table. Wednesday, the Schooner and Upstairs Bar and Grill are hosting a silent auction bake sale benefiting the Oregon Food Bank. That is from 5 to 8 p.m. at both locations. And then on Thursday, both locations are holding a Thanksgiving dinner benefit to also support the food bank. That is from 11 to 5 p.m. Reservations are recommended but not required. Friday is the lighting of the Christmas tree in Rockaway at 6 o'clock. And then Saturday is Small Business Saturday. And it is also the time, now it's just holidays and we're in the downhill slide till next year.
Are you hanging around for Thanksgiving? Or
yeah, I'm here.
You're here?
Mm-hmm. Well, I go to Portland. My family's in Portland, but Thanksgiving Day, and then I come back.
Okay.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for coming in. Always a pleasure.
I'll ask David to see if he's available
you should.
in December.
You should. And thank you, Tillamook, for listening.